Well, every year, Congress releases a budget blueprint. Now, it's not an actual law. It's just a spending plan giving a look at where the ruling party's fiscal priorities are. For 2016, the GOP wants to balance the budget in 10 years, repeal Obamacare, and boost defense spending. Joining me now to talk about the plan is Representative Tom Cole, Republican from Oklahoma, and most importantly, a senior member of the House Budget Committee.
Congressman. What a nice way to say an old guy.
Well, it's nice of you to come in. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
Let's talk about this. 10 years to a balanced budget. You're doing it without any tax increases. Correct. That means lots of cutbacks, which in a general sense means somebody's not getting paid.
Well,
who's not getting paid?
Cuts are funny how you define them. Actually, the spending, federal spending increases every year by about 3.2% on average. So we slow growth rates quite a bit. But there's no question we have major savings in Medicare and Medicaid. That's by using the Paul Ryan premium support approach. It's something we've done for 4 years in a row. We certainly slowed down the growth of discretionary spending quite a bit, but it does go up every year. So defense moves up, but the non-defense items do as well. But again, a lot slower.
The big money, of course, is in entitlements. You just mentioned Medicare. 3/4 of Americans or seniors, according to polling, are happy with the way the Medicare is going right now. How do you make the case that they need to make some sacrifices, the dreaded S word?
Well, I think, first of all, you remind people that, Medicaid is a one-size-fits-all program. Number one, probably Bill Gates and Warren Buffett don't need exactly the same Medicare proposal and program that somebody that's only got Social Security does. So means testing, which I think you'll actually see a little bit of this week in the so-called docs.
Means testing Medicare.
Means testing Medicare, and you can do that, frankly, without, you still have it, but you pay more for it. We actually do that now on Medicare Part D, the prescription drug program. If you make over $80,000 a year as an individual or $160,000 as a couple, you actually pay more for the privilege than somebody that's only living on Social Security. You still get coverage, but you can pay a little bit more, and we want to keep the program solvent and affordable for those that need it the most.
All right. I want to talk defense because your budget adds tens of billions of dollars to the sequester number that's been in place for a year now. Where is that money coming from?
Well, frankly, it's the so-called Overseas Contingency Operations Fund. This is a fund
which some people say is a fancy way of saying we're not going to pay for this right now.
Well, actually, you do pay for it. Look, the whole federal government obviously is borrowing money. It's borrowing a lot less money than it was 4 years ago. I always like to point out Republicans have lowered the budget deficit every single year that they've been in, and we'll probably be able to do that again this year. That's good. Defense is no more, quote, on borrowed money than any other part of the budget is. We need to get our house in order. But I think using this fund, which we might not spend all of, last year we appropriated $85 billion for this overseas contingency. It's what finances operations in Iraq, Afghanistan, in other words, war making. But we didn't spend as much as we thought we would. We only spent 73. So this 90 may or may not all be spent.
But here's the problem you have. A lot of people in your own party think you need to spend a lot more on defense.
Correct.
Others say spend less or pay for it out of some other actual funding. There's not agreement on how this should work out.
Well, there's not. But as you pointed out earlier, the budget isn't a law. It's really a negotiating position. The president sent his budget up. Not likely to happen. We'll present ours. We can actually move it through the House, but it'll change undoubtedly in the Senate. And once you actually are enacting different appropriations bills and hopefully changes in entitlement programs, the president's got to vote in that too.
Are you confident that there will be actual changes in entitlement programs, maybe even Social Security, to begin to move towards solvency in the long term?
I actually have a proposal with my friend John Delaney on Social Security, which would set up a commission very similar to what we did in '83 last time we actually moved the program towards solvency, and it would be bipartisan, and it would present a proposal and force Congress to vote up or down. But we're a long way away from anybody wanting to touch it. But at the end of the day, as you suggest, if you don't deal with entitlements, almost 3/4 of the budget, then you're never going to solve it or get it into balance. So we need to have a little bit of political courage here and go forward.
I saw you do an interview in which you talked about the ability of perhaps getting some things done on issues like border security and that kind of thing. On the other hand, I have seen congressmen, Democrats and Republicans arguing over something like Ebola. That became a partisan issue. Is the well so poisoned now that there's not much chance of actually working
No,
together?
and remember on Ebola, we actually got it done. We actually got to work together and work with the White House, got the funding there, got it down to the Center for Disease Control in Atlanta. They've done a spectacular job, and you're not hearing nearly as much about it. I think this week, while you hear lots of partisanship and fighting, you're going to see a pretty big bipartisan budget deal done, the so-called doc fix, which is basically to make sure that we don't cut what we pay our health care providers to do Medicare and Medicaid, and also take care of community health centers. I think you'll see that's a $200 billion deal over a 10-year period. I bet you it gets a lot of Democratic and Republican votes, passes the House in a bipartisan sense.
From your mouth to God's ears, Congressman, thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate your time today. Well, coming up.